Tonight, the DPP to take over from police in handling regional committal proceedings. Will it make it easier for victims of crime? And aviators to come together to discuss safe flying over the regions.
This is Southern Cross News with Tim Hatfield.
Good evening, but first tonight, Whyalla businesses got their first taste of what's required from the expansion of the Kultana Army Base at a presentation last night. The head contractor says they're looking to use local contractors wherever they can, but they've urged businesses to move fast.
Whyalla businesses have long targeted Kultana Army Base as an option of diversifying the local economy. However, there have been long-standing tensions between locals and the Defence Department over the use of local labour and suppliers. A change could be in the air, with the contractor for the base's expansion visiting town last night.
Introduce the project to the local community and understand or have the community understand what we are doing as part of the project.
The first stage will see 12 kilometres of new road constructed, along with new compounds and buildings. The project is worth $60 million, a handy source of income for locals who've seen work dry up since 2014. But companies will need to act fast, as work starts in around a month's time.
Provide an outline on the trade or the component of work they could assist with, and a capability statement.
Local business owners also used the meeting to grill St Hilliers on their intentions for the region. The Chamber of Commerce is looking for a significant percentage of work, but the President says our local businesses need to be proactive.
It's projects like this that help Whyalla grow out of where it currently is. This is really important time for them to show off their wares and what they can do for this in this community and for contractors.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
After being handled by police in the regions, the DPP will now take charge of regional committal proceedings. Under the new model, the DPP says it will be a better use of resources and a smoother process for victims. Amelia Simpson has the details.
A change that was implemented in the city 25 years ago will now spread to the regions, with the Director of Public Prosecution to now take care of regional committal proceedings here in Port Augusta and across regional SA. Up until the beginning of the month, it was a task that was normally handled by local police.
What I can say is that some of that work has been difficult for them because they're not legally trained in the way that my staff are, and they have quite heavy loads with respect to the minor, indictable and summary matters.
Mr Kimber says video link technology has helped the reform.
My people travel to Mount Gambier and Port Augusta on a regular basis and will be able to do a lot of our appearances in the committal proceedings by way of a video link or by way of my solicitors and prosecutors sitting at their desk here in Adelaide for non-trial appearances.
Police have told Southern Cross News in a statement that after the changes, they are confident local police will better manage summary and minor indictable prosecutions in country courts. The director says that government funding held back the reforms.
I took a recommendation to the Criminal Justice Sector Reform Council to do a study of the benefits that would flow and also to get some support from the government for funding for it.
The DPP says the reforms will mean less committals referred to the High Court and earlier access for victims to the office. It's in this hope that major indictable matters will be resolved earlier in the committal process.
Amelia Simpson reporting there. The Civil Aviation Safety Authority is holding a briefing at the Port Pirie Aerodrome tomorrow night to discuss local aviation safety issues in order to prevent any mid-flight emergencies. The meeting is a chance for pilots and aviators to improve their pre-flight and in-flight decision-making skills.
This meeting is an extremely important stepping stone in improving local flying.
All pilots from Port Pirie and surrounding areas getting together and having a really good, healthy discussion about safety so that we can make the local skies even safer than they are now.
The briefing will improve all pilots' situational awareness when they're flying above the clouds by practicing decision-making skills, because one wrong decision could bring the plane crashing down.
Really important because to keep pilots up to their safety briefings and also changes in the airspace and regulation.
And in wake of the recent light plane tragedies, the Port Pirie Airport is urging all aviation enthusiasts to attend the meeting to help eliminate human error during mid-flight emergencies.
The recent accidents in South Australia have certainly brought safety right into focus. It underlines how important training and education for all pilots is right throughout their flying lives.
And by learning from past accidents, pilots will have the chance to share the mid-flight problems they have experienced when flying in regional areas to help prevent these incidents from happening again. The free Port Pirie Aviation Safety Briefing is being held tomorrow night at 6:30 at the Port Pirie Aerodrome Terminal building, and people attending are asked to book online. Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
As winter settles in and school holidays begin, the Royal Flying Doctor Service is urging travellers to be prepared and careful when heading out bush. The Broken Hill base says it's essential to plan and prepare before setting off on an outback adventure, especially if you're not used to the region's conditions.
Before heading off on a holiday adventure, the Flying Doctor has a few words of warning. While the landscape of the outback is eye-catching, the call is out for travellers to make sure they are always prepared.
Keep good quality maps or a satellite navigation system. Have comms at all times, so make sure people know where you are and you can get out the message that you need help, so a satellite phone.
Despite 2/3 of Australians living in cities, half of the country's road deaths occur in rural and remote areas every year. Miss King says the RFDS receives more calls in the winter, and it's often from chronic conditions worsening.
Always carry your scripts with you and appropriate medication that you need, because obviously out here there's not a chemist around the corner everywhere you need to go.
Miss King says it's also important to keep plenty of water for everyone on the trip, stay with your vehicle if anything goes wrong, and call 000. Another tip is being wary of how much you pack on your roof rack. The heavier the load, the more likely your chance of a rollover. There's also an emergency app you can download before setting off.
You can download Emergency Plus app, and that helps you in finding out where you are. So it'll give you a longitude and latitude. So if you do get into strife, it'll help you in identifying your location. Just travel sensibly and safely and enjoy this big country of ours, because there's lots of beautiful things to see in the bush.
Patrick Roinke, Southern Cross News.
Well, stay with us. Still to come in tonight's local news, reviving the heart and soul of teaching and learning, a boost for educators in the state's north. Welcome back. A renowned British educator has presented at a teacher's masterclass in Port Augusta today as part of a regional tour. Sir John Jones spoke to teachers from as far as Lee Creek and Roxby Downs about finding the heart and soul of teaching and learning.
Knighted by the Queen in 2003 for his service to education, Sir John Jones today shared his wisdom with teachers from Port Augusta and the far north.
Make it ring, make it R relevant, I interesting, N naughty, G again.
Sharing his passion with regional teachers on the heart and soul of their work.
The magic weaving that on a day-to-day basis they engage in, but at the same time challenging them about our thinking, because, you know, some commentators argue that we're preparing our kids currently for employers who died over 100 years ago.
He is a great storyteller. I think I've laughed half most of the day. It's just the way he presents and the stories he tells. It's a great way of communicating.
Not just acknowledge a child, hey, how you going, and wander off. Really make a point to see them and hear them. I think that's what I think will be really great. Yeah.
The SA Area School Leaders Association organised the event and says it's a region first.
Well, we're looking at around the 700 to 800 mark in terms of people who will access Sir John over a week. And given that they're all rural people, that is very significant.
Sir John says he hopes the masterclass will give teachers a new perspective on the humble classroom.
That the world is changing so rapidly now that if we're going to fit them for purpose, that we have to do certain things and behave in certain ways that are perhaps not the traditional ways that most of us think about schooling.
Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
Olympian and cancer survivor Raylene Boyle is in Port Lincoln raising breast cancer awareness as part of a regional forum. The information session, run by breast cancer survivors, shares advice and offers support to other survivors going through similar experiences.
It's a devastating disease for women and men across the country. Over 17,000 people will be diagnosed with breast cancer this year alone. However, the long road to recovery for Port Lincoln patients often begins well before any treatment is received. Cancer sufferers travelling hundreds of kilometres back to Adelaide due to shortages with local oncology services.
These chairs don't only treat the women diagnosed with breast cancer, they treat all cancer sufferers who are going to have chemo, and there just isn't enough. And that's wrong.
Port Lincoln currently has 4 chemotherapy chairs, but with the increasing number of diagnoses in the region, local cancer survivor Karen Speed says it's just not enough.
It's quite third worldy really that Port Lincoln hasn't got those facilities. I was diagnosed in 2004 and there was an oncology chair there. But that seems to have all disappeared, like what's happened along the way.
Raylene, who was diagnosed with breast cancer in 1996 and ovarian cancer in 2000, met with other survivors in Port Lincoln today as an ambassador for the Breast Cancer Network. Her story of survival touching many close to home.
To see a hero like Raylene doing so well after breast cancer certainly gives everybody encouragement.
And she hopes her experience post-cancer can connect survivors across the region, helping them prepare for the next chapter of their life.
You're never going to be that same person, that happy-go-lucky, free-spirited, bring up the kids and you're busy. That's changed forever. There's a new you. A lot of those things might be included, but there's a very new you and you have to accept that person because that is not going to change.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Well, Broken Hill Police are encouraging members of the public in possession of unregistered firearms to surrender or register them during the National Firearms Amnesty. They say they're taking anything from firearms to scopes and accessories to prevent gun crime and get illegal guns off the streets. Here's Patrick with this week's Police Talk.
For the next 3 months, Australians have the chance to bring in their firearms and either register them or remove them from the community.
We're taking any firearms, firearms that are not registered, firearm parts, ammunition, prohibited weapons. We're taking anything to get them off the street and out of the wrong hands.
The amnesty started on Saturday and ends at midnight on September 30. The amnesty is not a buyback and there are no fees for you to bring in your firearms. Rifles, shotguns, pistols and even gun parts and accessories are being accepted by police.
You can go to the New South Wales Police Force website, hit on the amnesty link, it'll give you the details there, including the details of firearms dealers who are participating in the program.
Superintendent Smith says firearms in the wrong hands are a big concern for the community. Police often see licensed gun holders getting broken into and their firearms ending up in criminal hands.
If you are a firearms licence holder and you have your firearms stored, please ensure you comply with safety regulations and take that extra step to make sure your firearms don't fall into the wrong hands.
You can also call 1800 803 041 for more information on the amnesty.
Hand them into your local police. Get them out of harm's way. This is the opportunity. There's no repercussions. Those who are handing them in, this amnesty covers you. You can get them out of circulation or potential circulation or criminal hands.
And if you have any information on firearm crimes, contact Crime Stoppers. Patrick Roinke, Southern Cross News.
Well, stay with us. When we return after the break, state funds set to see major upgrades at 2 Mid-North sports grounds. The details ahead. Welcome back. Port Lincoln student Hannah Cash has taken to the skies for the first time since winning the inaugural Teakle Aviation Scholarship. Hannah earned her wings through her miraculous story of survival after water bombers saved her life during the 2009 Victorian bushfires, inspiring her to become a pilot. Her first flight took off from the Port Lincoln airport over the weekend, Hannah happy to take the controls. But she says this is just the gateway to a career as a pilot.
The step after this, I really want to get my commercial licence. And then hopefully flying things, commercial planes such as like Qantas, Rex, doesn't matter, and then hopefully one day that can lead me on to giving back to the community and doing water bombing or flying the Royal Flying Doctor Service.
Port Pirie Council has thrown its support behind upgrading sports sites in Crystalbrook by providing one-off grants to the football and netball clubs. The grants will allow the clubs to improve the irrigation system and build new shelters for players and supporters.
Port Pirie Council has provided the Crystalbrook Football Club with a one-off grant of $45,000. The money will go towards upgrading the irrigation system at the Oval, meaning a reduction in water consumption costs.
A reduction of around $13,000 a year in our water bill for the club, which will be a huge saving.
And the savings will then allow the club to improve other facilities around the Oval to benefit the community.
It means a lot to not just a football club, but we're also a local cricket club as well, and just a general community that use the Oval for one reason or another.
With the new irrigation providing a good surface all year round, it's hoped there will be more events held at the Crystalbrook Oval.
Hopefully, broaden our events that we can actually hold on the Oval, especially during our summer period when the Oval generally does fall back due to the lack of rain and the hot weather.
Council also granted $620 in funds to the Crystalbrook netball courts for the construction of a new shelter.
It's important for the community that we have good sporting facilities for our people.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
To sports news now, and in soccer, Croatia will head into the second half of the season as the team to beat in Whyalla after a crushing 8-0 win over the Lions on Sunday. The result leaves them 4 points clear of second place still with just 7 games left to play. John Hunt joins us now. John, they're in the box seat.
They are. Tim. Lions are always a difficult opponent, but they were no match for the ladder leaders on Sunday. Croatia dominated the game from start to finish, sending an ominous warning to the rest of the competition. The 8-0 thrashing is their 8th win from 9 in 2017, which is good form heading into the final third of the season. Meanwhile, Steel United fell 4 points behind Croatia in second place, after coming from behind to scrape a 2-2 draw with Westlands. The Northern Demons had a return to form in State League 2, with the Port Pirie club thrashing Uni SA 10-0. Savoy, however, are slipping towards another relegation, after a 4-0 defeat against Tea Tree Gully. They're second bottom with just 5 points from 10 games and only another 8 to play. In Port Lincoln, 2 2-2 draws, with the Lincoln Knights drawing with South Coast, while Seckle Masters and the Raiders split the points. In Broken Hill men's, St Joe's defeated West 4-2, while Alma and Celtic came away with a point each. While in the women's, West cruised to a 6-0 win over St Joe's, and Alma defeated Celtic 2-0. Let's turn to netball now, and we'll start in Whyalla, where YCW were given a scare by Rapina. The bottom place Roos fought hard, but YCW managed to sneak a 2-goal win. In the other match, Kiwi had an upset 51-40 win over True Blue. Across the Gulf in Port Pirie, Blue Wren defeated Solly's, while St Mark's had a tight 1-goal win over Port. Up in Port Augusta, St Joe's defeated the Magpies, and Railways had a 21-goal win over the Vikings. In Port Lincoln, South, Imperial and Wanilla got the points in their matches. And in Northern Areas netball, Southern Flinders were too good for Crystalbrook. Orroroo defeated Broughton Mundura, while BMW and Jamestown Peterborough drew for the second time this year, unable to be split after 60 minutes of play. So that's all from another bumper weekend of sport across the region, as most leagues move into the second half of their seasons. And if you've got sports scores that you want seen on TV, drop us a line at localsport@sca.com.au.
Good stuff. Thank you, John Hunt there. Well, stay with us after the break. A look at the local weather for the next couple of days. Welcome back. Well, a bit of a wintry old day again today. A cloudy 18 in Port Augusta with showers about in 16 for Whyalla. Port Lincoln today 17, 16 also for Port Pirie, and a fine 18 in Broken Hill. On the national satellite, cloud continues to move easterly on the back of that low. Out on the Gulf waters, the winds to 20 knots into the northwest, the seas to 2 metres and mainly southerly. Sunrise is at 7:25. So into tomorrow, a fine 17 for Port Augusta and 16 for Whyalla and for Port Pirie. Port Lincoln seeing some showers still, 17 the top, fine and 17 in Broken Hill. And then showers lingering all week for Port Lincoln, 18 on Thursday and on Friday as well. Cleve with 16 for Thursday as the showers return on Friday. Widner 16, then 17 and looking pretty wet. Whyalla looking at 17 to run out this week with fine conditions into the weekend as well. Port Augusta much the same after 18 on Thursday. Kadina with showers on and off, 16 degrees the top right through. Port Pirie also looking fine over the next few days with 17, those showers returning late in the week. Cooler for Clare, 14, then a wet 13. Broken Hill with a sunny 17 for Thursday and then 16 degrees expected on Friday. And that is the local news for this Tuesday evening. Don't forget, as always, you can stay up to date with us on Facebook and on Twitter. You can also get in touch via email. We'll see you back here tomorrow night from 6:30. I'm Tim Hatfield from the team here at Southern Cross News. Have a good evening. Good night.